This morning.
Good morning.
All good? Are you awake yet? No? Yeah? Quick question. How many of you are here from the West Coast or Midwestern region by a show of hands? So has the time change hit you yet? Because I'm from Arizona and it's technically 6 in the morning there. I'd just be getting up for school. But regardless of that, we're going to have an awesome time today. I hope you guys are all really pumped to be here and excited to make some new friends and learn some new information. So today our presentation is Inclusive Youth Leadership within Special Olympics Project Unify. We're going to go over that a little more in depth, but before we do that, we'd like to introduce ourselves.
My name is Bill Robson. I live in Sheffield, Washington. I'm a sophomore at Nightingale High School, and I'm 16. I'm 17, October 8th. And my reason being here was seeing awesome people, and all you guys. It's awesome.
Hi, I'm from Seattle, Washington too, and I'm a junior in high school, and I started to be part of this because I like to have equality in our schools, and I thought everyone should feel included.
Hi everyone, my name is Jamie Beheimer, and I'm currently a junior at Cactus Shadows High School in Arizona. And the reason I got involved with Special Olympics is because of my older brother Jason. He's a year older than me, and we've been pretty close from the get-go. And when my mom started taking him to Special Olympics practices, I would cheer him on from the stands. But then I was like, why can't I be out there participating with him? He's having fun, I want to do that too. And so we started a program called Unified Sports, which you'll get to learn a little bit about later. And from that point forward, 6 years ago, I knew Special Olympics is where I wanted to be. So.
Hi, my name is Roberto Aguirre, and I'm from Boise. I have graduated from, I'm 19 years old, and I graduated from Centennial High School. I'm from Boise, Idaho, and the reason why I got it in Special Olympics is my teacher from elementary I got involved in. What is Special Olympics Project Unify?
So really quick, before we go into what Project Unify is, how many of you have heard of Special Olympics before by a show of hands? That's so exciting, wow. How many of you have heard of Project Unify? All right, not too bad. For those of you who didn't raise your hand on that second question though, we're gonna give you a little bit of an overview just so that the information we present to you doesn't seem too out of the extraordinary. So Special Olympics Project Unify empowers youth with and without disabilities. So it's a person who's a general education student as well as a special education student talking in a school setting. They're agents of change in their communities. We're the ones that make a difference, that strive to change the world. That's really what we do. And it's for the youth, by the youth. Everything that Special Olympics Project Unify does is youth-led because we believe that youth are the leaders of the future. Why should we, not be able to do something just because we're under 18? And it is progressive in the concept of social inclusion. Students with and without intellectual disabilities are socially connected, valued, and supported. So what this really means is, and why inclusive youth leadership is so important, is that students are empowered in all inclusive ways. Most of the time we think physical inclusion. Oh yeah, there's students with disabilities at my school and they're in the main building on campus. So they're included. Well, that's part of it. But what about those students who, at lunch, they have friends to sit with and have meaningful friendships? I know my brother in elementary school, was he in a main building? Of course. But did he have friends to sit with at lunch that weren't in his classroom all day long? No, no one besides me. But since Project Unify, he's been able to sit at the cool kid table in our lunchroom in high school, which is something that he never thought he'd be able to do. So Project Unify is really what this whole concept is about, so we just wanted to make sure that everyone kind of had a general idea of what we're really talking about before we dove deep into it. Does that make sense? All good? Thumbs up? Woohoo!
Special Olympics Project Unify is an education-based program that uses sports education and to activate young people. So what that means to me is like being able to play sports with Kabir. So Kabir's a goalie and I play on the other team. So we get to play sports together, soccer. And it also means being able to sit with kids with and without disabilities. Or when we have assemblies, it means being able to interact to make sure everyone feels included. That's what Project Unify is.
And under the Project Unify umbrella, there are 3 components that make up this term and what we've been talking about these past couple of slides. The first one is youth leadership and advocacy. So what you're learning about today, inclusive youth leadership, would fall under that category, as well as another program we have called Unified Sports. It's the more sporty side of youth leadership, but it's having a captain, having co-captains, changing it so not one person's leader, but there are multiple people being leaders. Something that's revolutionary in the idea that everyone can be included. It's also inclusive sports. So there's the unified sports part again. It just shows up all the time. And then the whole school engagement. Not only having students participating in activities, but having activities so that everyone can feel involved. Fans in the stands, getting all your friends to go to a Special Olympics event and cheer them on. Spread the word to end the word campaign, making the R word knocked out of your campus. Just anything along these lines to promote Project Unify and sustainability into the future.
Project Unify goals include special ed students, adult-led, and sport opportunities.
Unify all students, student-led sports as an contented for school climate change.
So these are how the goals play together within Project Unify. Everyone is included and unified. Special ed students become all students. Adult-led makes it student-led, so there's that partnership, and sports bring social change. So that's kind of how the goals within Project Unify lead to the overall encompassing factor.
Where does inclusive youth leadership start? Why is it important, inclusive youth leadership?
Does anyone have, just based off of what you've heard so far, any reason as to why we think that inclusive youth leadership is so important? You can volunteer to raise your hand. Might not know since it's still kind of early in the morning, but does anyone have kind of like a general basis, like why we think this is so important in schools? Sure.
So that all people can be included in the schools.
Fabulous answer. Anyone else? I know it's early, but you got this. No, maybe not? All right, well, we're going to ask you again at the end of the session, so be ready to answer.
Oh, wait, Sammy, we have one back there.
Oh, one all the way back?
All the way back there.
Was that an April Fool's joke?
False alarm, sorry.
Oh, good.
What does inclusion feel like? It feels like awesome.
Spoiler alert. So inclusion, what does it look like? We have this great concept, this word that we hear all the time, but what does it really look like on a high school campus today? The concept, simple, inclusion. But there's 2 different parts of that. There's the social inclusion and the physical inclusion, and that I kind of touched on earlier. The feelings that go towards that. Being valued and respected, seen for talents and strengths, and able to access the whole building. Those are the 2 main things. So that the social, you feel like you're connected with the people that you're with. We all have those classes that you don't have any friends in, and you're like, first day of school, what am I gonna do? I don't know where to sit, I don't have any friends. That's normally how kids with intellectual disabilities feel. I mean, that's based off of what my brothers told me. And why is that fair? It's not, which is why we promote inclusive youth leadership so adamantly. But then, not only that, having the physical capability to access a building and be able to interact with peers is important as well. So that's what inclusion is in our opinion, based off of our Inclusive Youth Leadership Guidebook, which you'll get to look at later. So when you're thinking, what is inclusion? We all have our own little definitions, so this is just kind of to break it down for you guys.
So some of our goals is to recognize the importance of feeling included, create a sense of understanding for people with intellectual disabilities, and to be able to problem solve and create ways to promote in our community.
Consider the following statements and reflect on how they apply to you.
So what we're going to have you do, since you don't have any paper in front of you and we kind of want to make it interactive, is you're going to read the following statements, or we'll read them out loud to you guys, and we want you to answer. So, first one, people with intellectual disabilities are valued at my school just like any other student. If you think that's an always, we're going to have you put your hand up like this. If you think, sometimes, thumbs up. And if you say, nope, never, hands closed. So for the first one, people with intellectual disabilities are valued at my school just like any other student. What would your answer be to that, by a show of hands? All right, so some different dynamics. Good to know, good to know. Kibia, do you want to read the next one for us?
Not everyone can be a leader. Not everyone can be a leader. You have to be born a leader.
So always, sometimes, or never. Let's show of hands.
Okay. Inclusion is percent at my school. Students and without enjoying their education learn in the same building, no matter what it happens.
So always, sometimes, never. I only see always and never, so one sometimes, a couple sometimes. All right, that's good. And then last one.
Students with and without enjoying disabilities also experience the feelings of exclusion.
Show of hands. Thanks for participating, you guys. But I'm kind of serious. If there's not some, excitement coming up here within the next couple minutes, I'm gonna make you guys all get up and dance. And I've done it before. They can attest to that.
Okay, so we're gonna do another activity, and you're gonna try to translate the following phrase into English. So it's in Latin right now, and it's Viem and Viem Fashion. So if you guys could all talk amongst yourselves without looking it up and try to find out what it means in English.
But it was either I shall find a way or I should make one. And the reason we thought this would be a really cool phrase to put in here and have this activity is actually in a document, in a resource that we have created, and we'll pass these around for you guys, but it's called the Inclusive Youth Leadership Guidebook. And this is one of the activities within this entire guidebook that you would do within a group of youth like all of you are here today. So if you took it back to your school, did it with your student council, or if you decided, hey, I want to start a Special Olympics program and have this and all my friends join, that would be something that you would do with them. And either I shall find a way or I should make one is perfect for youth, because isn't that kind of our attitude? If you want something done, you're going to do it yourself, right? So that was the whole basis of it. I really like all of the leadership sayings that you guys had, though. Those were amazing. So keep up the good thinking. That's awesome this early in the morning.
What does communication look like?
The goal is color of your team members will learn different ways to increase animation so that each member should be an energetic leader. You will each be able to arise, open, to along, engage in active listening. Down by my voice, I need to slow down.
Maintain professionalism.
So this part of the section, just like the last one we did, this is pillar number 4 in the Inclusive Youth Leadership Guidebook. So you guys all have those on your tables, or at least the front 5 do. We're going to have you guys pass them around throughout the session since we only brought a couple. But this would be pillar 4, so we'll talk a little more about them later. But in regards to in this pillar, that's where it is coming from. It's coming from the guidebooks on the table. So just to clear things up a little bit. How many of you guys know, like, the story of how a rumor spreads? It starts out as one thing, and then it goes back to the person it was about. It's something totally different, and not anything nearly what it was originally intended to be as a fact. That's kind of how telephone is and how communication can sometimes relate back to leadership. I mean, there's a lot of times where, Roberto and I are co-chairs for the Inclusive Youth Leadership Subcommittee this year on the National Youth Activation Committee for Special Olympics, where we wrote the guidebook, we presented about it, we've done that before. We normally, we think we're pretty good communicators, but sometimes things get lost in translation. I mean, how many of you have ever read a text and you interpret it different than the way it's intended to be represented by the person who sent it? Yeah, I do that all the time. So if you send me a text, I'll probably interpret it different than how you meant it, or I'll send a text and I need to be funny, but people think I'm serious type of thing. And that's how it can sometimes be in leadership. You say something, people don't know if you really want them to do it, or if you say, hey, would you mind doing this for me? They think that, would you mind? It's like, oh, I don't have to. So you should probably say, hi, I need you to do this so that we can ... to make it a little clearer as far as communicating what you need for the overall benefit of the group. So telephone is just a little simple way to show how communication can change and how it's really important that you go back and talk to a person again, you check. And the thing about the no repeats is that you weren't allowed to check because it made it 10 times more difficult than if you could have said, oh, hey, can you explain it to me again, or one more time, please? Just to make sure you heard it correctly. So you guys did an amazing job. That was a really awesome game of telephone. And again, your lines were fabulous. So be very proud of yourself for that too.
Accomplishing our goals based on what you have learned in this pillar, do you and your team members feel you have enhanced your ability to communicate as an authentic leader? You should be able to authorize open dialogue, engage in active listening, maintain professionalism.
Initiative commission is 20% what you know and 80% how you feel about when you know. Speak from the heart. Academician will come easily. Sorry, I would not slowing down the spot, but I need to, so everyone.
So this is one of the things that you can find in the Inclusive Youth Leadership Guidebook. It's what we call a tip in action, and it's kind of a takeaway after you complete a pillar. So like the inclusion pillar that we showed you a little bit of, this is just a sneak peek onto the entire pillar and what it all encompasses. So the tip in action, 20% what you know, 80% how you feel. How many of you have ever been really good in a subject at school because you loved what you were writing about? Like, let's say you loved English because you liked there being more than one answer. You could talk about anything, but then you get an essay and you have to write on how mathematical principles have changed over time. You're not going to feel passionate about that. You're not going to want to write it because it's not something you connect with. Like, you like English because you can look at English. It has nothing to do with math. I mean, you can probably make your way around it, but how you feel is 80% why you want to do anything, and 20% just what you know on your topic, what you're communicating about, but the passion comes within that. So in a real life example, that would be me with Special Olympics. I feel so passionately about it. Do I know all the facts about the organization? I've come to learn more over the course of the last 6 years, but when I started, I didn't. I just knew how I felt being on a basketball court next to my brother was fabulous, and I didn't want anything else. So relating that back to inclusive youth leadership in any day life, that's kind of what we want to make sure that you all get from our message of communication. With that being said, if you're just on your forefront path to becoming an inclusive youth leader, you know, in the game of Candyland, you start on start, or in the game of life, you have to go one place and you have to kind of weave your way around, find where you truly are. That's the path of inclusive youth leadership, and there's a continuum of leadership. So within the Inclusive Youth Leadership Guidebook that you guys have, there are 5 pillars: inclusion, co-leadership, teamwork, communication, and environment. And the reason there are 5 is because we think those are the 5 most important things that go into inclusive youth leadership. And you can think about it as a high five. When you congratulate someone, give them a high five. What's an inclusive youth leader? They get a high five. But under each of the pillars, there's a pre-activity, there's main activities, there's a reflection. There's so much that goes into it, but it's all really simple stuff. It's things that you guys have been doing since elementary school. You know all the information. It's just presented in a different way that shows how important inclusive youth leadership really is, what it takes to embody an inclusive youth leader. So, oh, do you need to go back? No, we've got time, don't worry. So if you guys have had the books, I know a couple tables in the back, if you need one, you can either pass them back or pick one up just to look at it. We have a couple floating around. Good? Everyone good? Wrote down what you need? So, what are some of the beginning steps that you take to become an inclusive youth leader? I know that when I started this, I kind of already had a background because I was a partner with my brother. But if I wasn't, what would I need to do? Assembly for Spread the Word to End the Word, or just launching a Spread the Word to End the Word campaign? By a show of hands, how many of you actually have seen or been in or heard of a Spread the Word to End the Word campaign? Okay, so for those of you that don't know what it is, Spread the Word to End the Word was a campaign created to end the derogatory use of the word retard, which in the campaign is known as the R word because we don't want to say it. And what it is it's to inform your peers, your parents, anyone really, of how hurtful that word is. I know one time I had a teacher say to me, oh, that's so retarded, or oh, I can't even believe, why would he do that, that's so retarded, and I was like, do you know what that word is, like, do you know what you're saying? And she was like, no, it's a word. And I was like, wow. And I had facts to say that that word really hurts my brother. Like if my brother was here, he'd be like, why are you saying that type of thing? Because he hears it and he thinks that people are implying it to him. So it's kind of just to open the eyes of people that we see in our everyday world. It's not the best word to choose, and it's a very simple campaign. You can go online and find tons of information on it. They have kits. You get a banner, you get everyone to sign it to pledge to stop using it. This year, my school did the campaign. We had over 900 people take the pledge, which is the most we've ever had in the past 3 years. So it's really something that once you do it and you sign on to it, you start to see the difference that Special Olympics makes. But if that's something that, you know, your StuCo might take on, or you don't think you have the time for, or something that you're just like, I don't know, I have to get it passed by administration, and they're kind of about it, there's Fans in the Stands, which is probably one of the simplest Special Olympics events out of all of them. And so how many of you think that there's one traditional Special Olympics games, like the Olympics, like it's just one time a year, every 4 years type of thing? Is there anyone here that thinks that? Show of hands, no? Yeah, one? Special Olympics is actually all day, every day, all the time. And that's how the organization has made it. Literally every weekend in my hometown, there is, well not my hometown, my home state, there's an event going on somewhere. It might be 2 hours north of me, 2 hours south of me, in the center of the valley. There's always an event going on. What Fans in the Stands is getting a group of your friends, maybe people from the football team, people from the drama club, making signs, making posters, driving to an event and just cheering for the athletes while they run a track or in their cheer competition, sitting in the bleachers. It sounds pretty simple, right? Yeah? Yeah, whoever said yeah really enthusiastically. You're my new best friend. But it's honestly, it is one of the simplest things. I mean, you probably all go to football games during football season. Why not do something like that for Special Olympics? I mean, it's really probably one of the best programs that to just start in the organization. But not only that, we have inclusive sports. So on this whole inclusion trend, there's Unified Sports, which I kind of touched on earlier, and I'd like for either Roberto or Kabir or Karina, because she talked about how she got involved. But Roberto, when you got involved in Unified Sports, what sport did you play? What sport did you play?
I did track and field.
And what was your favorite part?
Just engaging with all the athletes, just meeting new people there.
Oh, what was that like working with your partner?
It's fun. I like it.
What's the best part about working with sports?
Having that kind of the same interest that they have.
I decided to do Unified Sports because I felt it was a lot more fun than I thought doing sports without kids with intellectual disabilities. disabilities, so I decided to do it with kids and without, right?
And for me, I just want to, before I have it, not good, so I just want to be equal. I mean, having been a team for player, and what I did. My second year in soccer, I think awesome. So, soccer is my favorite thing to do. And
Yeah, he's an awesome goalie.
I too, yeah.
So Kabir joined because he wanted to be equal to his peers. Karina joined because she thought it'd be something fun to do, and Roberto joined because he wanted to make friends with the athletes. I joined to help my brother. We all have a different Special Olympics background, and you guys might not have a tie to Special Olympics at all. You've probably just heard of it, or you've seen it somewhere, and you've been like, oh, that looks cool, but what is it? And you have it down. We're 4 real-life people who have actually done and we've committed, and it's honestly changed our lives. So it can change yours. So I'm not saying go sign up for your next track meet with Special Olympics. Definitely, unless you have the time for it, and if you really want to, have your life change drastically and have a ton of fun, I'd say go sign up for it. But Unified Sports really, it does connect you with everyone immediately around you, and you get to meet a ton of new friends. And I get to pretend I'm athletic, so that's always fun too. If you think that you can't do anything, like my coach handed me a tennis racket, was like, here you go. It's like, what are you doing? She's like, you'll learn, don't worry. And I had an athlete who was 4 years older than me teach me how to play tennis. So that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever experienced, and without that, I wouldn't know how to play tennis. So really cool stories. And then young athletes probably doesn't relate to most of us in this room, but it's a program for the younger elementary school kids to kind of get them involved in sports and creating those friendships at a younger age. So just kind of having that sport so that when you get up into middle school, high school, where Unified Sports becomes very apparent, they already have kind of that knowledge of Special Olympics and what they want to do and who they want to hang out with and that kind of thing. So very cool stuff. If you guys, is there anyone that has any questions as of right now on the past couple of programs we've talked about, or we'll definitely have like questions session later, but.
So you're all probably thinking, like, wow, this is so much information, what can I do with it? So you can go to your schools and engage students with disabilities in your student council. So that can be ASB, Key Club, any kind of club, or maybe you want to start a club for Project Unify at your school. You can participate in Inclusion Youth Leadership Training. So that would mean like the Inclusive Youth Leadership book. You can, if you look through it, there's different pillars, so you can start the pillars in your clubs, at your schools, or if you have any kind of state gaps, maybe. Identify how you and your peers can co-create more inclusive school communities. So that means bands and stands will be talked about, so going to all the games at your school. So that means the traditional or the inclusive ones.
Any questions with anyone on the co-head of the steering paying? So any questions? Ask me, I'm a man to it.
So how do you something about that?
Yes. Holly Vargas, United States, want to be happy, work stage with new entrepreneurs that I met today. And I just want to be with new people. I'm a goal is stay. Getting to know new people, I need to slow down, so it's awesome people, of course.
Feeling about that they'd like to share with the group? Is there anything that you want to kind of share? I know I was having a discussion over at this table. We were talking about the Spread the Word to End the Word campaign and like how they can get it started. And then the next table, what's the best way to get people to go out to a game? Really exciting things and really great questions, but we'll actually have a Q&A in just a moment. But really quick, we'd like each of you to answer the following statement. I think and learn best when. And normally you're kind of like, oh, I think I learn best when, ooh, how do I? Maybe it's Roberto, who, he has an example, so he will share it with you.
I learn best when people show me stuff like on the computer, like show me an example. So, oh, okay, thank you. So I learn best when people do that.
I share and learn best when I have a visual. So just like Roberto, I like to see things to know what's going on. It's harder for me to like listen and understand what's going on without having a visual.
I think I think as my best friend, you will understand me as a special anyone. If I, I'm gonna go ahead and any questions you will ask me, and mostly I know. So I think so. Anyway, awesome.
If you guys want more information, here's our social media sites, so you can just click them and go find us, and we'll be there for you guys. So walk around. And thank you once again. It was so great having you all here.